Hey everyone. It has been a while since I left a Just a Conversation video. In fact, the last video that I left, I was happily walking in the Adelaide Hills, having a grand old time. And it was a couple of weeks after that that I ended up tweaking my knee, having a casual hit of tennis. And so I thought I would share what that journey has been like, because it's been quite a journey now. It's been over 2 months since I tweaked it. Let's see, it was like February the 13th or something. Yeah, so it's been just a little over 2 months. And it's been an interesting one. So the actual event is not unfamiliar to me. I had a knee reconstruction when I was 16, and then 10 years later I ended up locking the knee. I think I was skiing or something like that. I ended up getting scar tissue removed, and I think they might have scraped some of the meniscus away. And so then, since then, it has still had a tendency to lock, to kind of go out of place. But I have learned how to knock it back into place myself. It's usually not pretty. Usually when it happens, I'm alone. I might be running in the woods, or it's a quick thing that nobody notices. Sometimes it just goes back in by itself. Anyway, this day though, I couldn't get it back in. As it was happening, I thought, oh no, I could feel it. And as I was reaching for the ball, and I had that perfect twist, right? My toes going in a certain direction, my knees going in a certain direction, and then just that perfect. And so I dropped to the ground to like knock it back into place. But I think I was actually a little self-conscious because there were people around. But anyway, so I couldn't get it back into place, and it of course started to swell. And then once it starts to swell, then it starts to get inflamed. It's impossible to kind of fix it. And so it's interesting watching the mind, right? And so I thought, oh no, I'm in Australia. It's not really where my life is. I don't have health insurance there, and so I thought, no, it's okay. I know what's happened. This is familiar to me, so I'll just wait it out. And do the requisite self-care, which is you would know it as the rice method, right? So you're resting, you're icing, compression and elevation. And so I did that for a couple of weeks, which was really inconvenient at the time. However, then eventually after that 2 weeks, I was getting treatments too by my cousin, who's this magnificent, very gifted osteopath, and that was helping so much. And then I ended up getting an MRI. The findings on the MRI were not ideal, and if you go onto the YouTubes, it'll tell you that that kind of event requires surgery. And then I finally get myself to an Australian doctor who was actually not an advocate for surgery, and he just said, the main thing is to get the fluid off the knee and let everything kind of go back into place. Because if you do get surgery, you're looking more at you're fast tracking yourself to a knee replacement, basically. And so it's been interesting. I've been watching myself kind of go back and forth with this, and some days feeling really great, and I could see myself going back into the woods, and then other days it's like, oh my God, I think I actually need somebody to go in there and fix it. Okay, so then I got myself back here to the States. By the way, signing up for a wheelchair as you're going on these long haul flights is a very good idea. It gets you right through immigration just like that. So good. Just a little tip, little life hack. So I came back here, and then I got myself in to see another I was actually looking for an osteopath because I wanted to receive the same level of care that and the same level of expertise that my cousin has. And so I finally find a pain management clinic that is just teeming with osteopaths, DOs. But unfortunately, they didn't take my insurance. But that's okay. There was an MD in the office, and the woman at the front desk insisted that it was the same level of treatment and care. So I see this doctor. This was just on Tuesday. And I said, he was confused about why I was there, because it was more pain management and to do with the spine and things like that. And I said, well, I have pain. It's in my knee. And I said, look, here's how I got here. I was actually looking for a DO. And he said, well, you're going to get the same care. He repeated what the girl at the front desk said. And actually the path for this as well was me following a thread, because the DO's name that I was following was Dr. Freeman. And I thought, oh, that's great. I like that. And then when I called up the number to see if I could make an appointment, the voicemail accent, the voice was Australian. So I thought, this is great. And then when the front desk girl said, oh, sorry, Dr. Freeman won't take your insurance, but this other doctor will, Dr. Grace does. I thought, oh my God, that's perfect, Dr. Grace. So anyway, so that was the backstory to that. Anyway, so now here I am. I'm sitting in the little office, and Dr. Grace is now. So he's. I'm telling him the story of how I ended up there. That I was actually looking for a DO because I wanted a treatment, and he said, "Oh, they don't treat." And I said, "They don't?" He said, "No, that's just a way through residency." And I thought, "What? Oh my God, what a waste." That is so sad. It was so sad, because I know how magical my cousin and her husband, the work that they do is so amazing, that they're actually treating you, and that the fact that there are people who are calling themselves DOs and osteopaths here who are basically the same as an MD in their specialization, though, right? They do their specialization. So anyway, so I heard again from another doctor that surgery was not the way, and that his business was actually helping people with botched surgeries. And he basically repeated what the doctor in Australia had said, which is just get the swelling down, and I'll write you a script for PT and take care of it. So So it's been an interesting thing, because I've had to arrange my mind, because previously surgery had been the way that I had fixed this, right? When I initially had the ACL pop when I was 16, and then when it had locked 10 years later, my healing approach, without really thinking about it, was invasive, was surgery. But now I've spent most of my life arranging myself behind this idea of non-invasive care. And so it was interesting, watching myself go through this whole process. And then I also remembered, and I was sharing this with my class last night, that I remembered, so actually I'll be teaching a Reiki Level 1 class coming up at the end of this month. And usually in that class, I share as a resource this movie called The Placebo Effect. And actually, I don't think it's that easy to find anymore. But the content of the movie was that it was a documentary on these basically sham knee surgeries, where they gave, and I don't know how they managed to kind of get away with this, but they made incisions in the knee, and then they played while they gave them the general anesthetic, and then they made incisions in the knee, and then they played a video. Sorry, I beg your pardon. They played a recording of an actual surgical procedure, and then they sewed them back up, and then they gave them, the directions for rehab to rehabilitate the knee. And then they checked in a year later, And all of them were espousing how that their surgeons were miracle workers and so amazing, and thank heavens I'm now able to play with my kids and hike in the woods and go skiing and do all of those things. And so then they ended up telling them that, well, actually you didn't have a procedure. And it didn't matter because the subconscious had already gotten on board with this healing, that there had been a healing had taken place, and now it was just a matter of going through the recovery, the natural recovery from the procedure. And so as I was looking through YouTube for different exercises for what's going on, which is now the ACL is not connected anymore, but I do have 2 screws in there, so I'm not so concerned about that. It still feels pretty stable. And then there's just, extra meniscus stuff. So I was still, I was looking on the YouTubes for videos. Mostly they're by PTs on how to, strengthen the muscle, strengthen the knee, and rehabilitate with these 2 conditions, right? Meniscus stuff and then ACL, and choosing the non-surgical route. And then I came across this doctor who shared another experiment, just like the one in the movie The Placebo Effect, where they had a group who actually received I think it was a partial, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that when they worked partially on shaving away the meniscus, meniscectomy, I don't know, and then the other group, same, got the sham surgery. And he shared that the study showed that this experiment, that the outcomes were the same. And so I'm sharing this because the mind has so much power, and that's pretty much what I, that's a concept, and that's a belief, that's a truth. It's not really a belief; it's a truth that I've arranged my whole life around, and that I needed to arrange my own mind. So I had an opportunity, right? I got a new opportunity to arrange my mind in that, okay, we're just simply going to rehabilitate and it's going to be okay. Because what the mind does is that it takes now, and if it's not wanted and it's not pleasant and it's unexpected, then the mind, one of the tricks of the mind is that it makes it forever, and that's how it starts to panic, and that's when it rushes off and finds all these solutions. So now that I'm 2 months into it, and I look back at it all, I can breathe a sigh of relief to think that, okay, I didn't overreact, and actually, while it's a slow and steady journey, it is healing. And comparatively, if I took a snapshot of what it was like when it first happened and a snapshot of what it's like now, I mean, it's exponentially different. But there's still a ways to go, because the swelling is still is still something that I'm working with. So then I've gotten I've put my attention back on the quantum healing hypnosis work. I do a lot of the Eastern healing arts work, and I have combined the intelligence of the quantum healing hypnosis with the Eastern healing arts. So I have this like beautiful modality, I guess, that's now merged the two. However, the quantum healing hypnosis, as Dolores trained me, is something that I love doing, but the sessions are long. They're usually around 4 hours, and people who sign up for those, oftentimes they come from far away. They're not close. So anyway, so I was actually looking through some of my materials, and I came across my old Dolores Cannon course materials. And this is literally this morning. This is why I'm inspired to jump on and tell you the story. And I open it up and I look at my little notepad, and it says the first things that I see as I glance at the notepad is, the subconscious does not want surgery. And I thought, oh, it's so good, because the body is just simply an effect. It's an effect of mind, and it's an effect of our intention, and we get to choose. So anyway, so I thought I would just share with you my journey of the last 2 months, and kind of explain my absence a little bit. But yes, here I am, safe and sound, and working on a project. All right. So keep watching out for videos, because and also my Sunday sermons, I'm doing those as well. So great. I'll see you soon.